Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Wicked and Wasted.
Where two unfiltered millennials drink and talk about all things Disney.
I'm Donte.
I'm Emma, and today we're diving headfirst into all things Disney, new shows, theme park updates, and maybe a few hot takes on those animated films that we all grew up with.
We decided to start a podcast because we wanted to go ahead and just record our conversations that we always have about Disney, the parks, the movies.
Yeah, I would say about 90% of our general conversations are Disney related, and about, I don't know, at least 50% of them happen when we're drinking.
At least 50%.
So this seemed like a natural extension. This seems like something that we should do. Plus, we have to give Disney adults a better name. Disney adults right now don't have the best name, and I feel like we're pretty fun, cool. I don't know. Maybe we'll make people think twice before they make fun of the Disney adults.
Anyways, we thought this was something that was missing from the Disney podcast scene.
I think we're definitely unique.
I'd say so. Plus, we wanted to create a space for people to join our conversation.
I feel like we don't sugarcoat things at all. We definitely are unfiltered. So if we don't like something, we're going to say that we don't like it. And we're horribly opinionated.
Maybe it's about time we start introducing some of our controversial perspectives.
I mean, we talk about them enough, just the two of us.
Yep, so why not record it and see what happens?
There we go.
But first, let's talk about what we're drinking.
Oh, it's my favorite thing to talk about.
I was hoping we would have a poison apple teeny, since I'm not near the parks right now. It's been a while.
I was thinking something similar. In fact, I have made us a poison apple teeny.
Ooh. You didn't.
Poison apple teenies are my favorite. I feel like they themselves are controversial because a lot of people don't like them, which I think is absurd because they are a staple of Halloween time in California Adventure.
Yeah, it's kind of a must for us.
It really is.
It's more about,
it's not Halloween time until we have a poison apple teeny.
It's really not. And you can't go to the park during Halloween without getting one first.
Oh, absolutely not. But I haven't actually gotten one from the park this season yet either. I'm going next week. I will have one then. But until then, we have to make them ourselves. Look at what I have for you. A lovely poison apple teeny. Would you like it?
Absolutely.
Oh, is it delicious?
Ooh, really good.
I'm going to get one for myself now. Look at that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh,
tastes like Carthy Circle.
Oh, it's really good. Yummy. I feel like we did a pretty good job recreating this. It's very good. I am sad that we're missing the best part, the poison apple glow cube that you get when you order the drink at Carthay Circle in California Adventure. It's very sad, but at least the drink still tastes really delicious. And if you want to recreate the poison apple teeny, you can find the recipe at our website, wickedandwasted.com.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
I should have brought a towel.
Did you spill on yourself?
Of course I did. I always do. The first time I've worn this and I've spilt on it in the first 5 minutes.
Typical.
Oh, yeah. Did I show you my hoodie?
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a very good transition to what I want to talk about right now.
Yeah.
Oh, the Pumpkin King.
What's that? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at him.
I love it.
Cute. It's really comfortable. It's very appropriate that you wore that because I really want to talk about the Haunted Mansions, particularly the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland during the holiday season. It's very good.
It's one of our favorite rides.
The Haunted Mansion really is. And I think it's really interesting because the ride opened in August of 1969. So I feel like it's the tail end of that like really old school Disney magic, which I think is special.
It is. The ride changed so much from the original concept to the finalized version that we see now today.
Yeah, it really did. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be like a walkthrough, like a classic Halloween haunted house walkthrough, which is very interesting. Yeah.
Mark Davis wanted actually a more funnier version, so not to scare families and the little kids.
That's unfortunate. I'm in favor of scaring the small children.
I like it when it's a little spooky.
I'm glad they kept it that way. I feel like you definitely still have some of those funny elements right now, but there is some like spookiness that comes through, which is great. Why not?
Especially that one time we went to Florida.
I gotta put my drink down for that one.
It was definitely spooky then.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that we wrote it
Not
when we were sober. I'm not saying we weren't sober. I'm saying perhaps maybe we had eaten something that altered perhaps maybe how we might view things.
I thought it was
Maybe.
chocolate.
Yeah, it was just a little snack, but
No.
maybe the wallpaper was was really moving around.
The tarot cards, I'm pretty sure those were doors to other dimensions.
And then we got to the graveyard scene.
Oh God.
And the skeleton popped up and I jumped so high. I was like on top
So
of
bad.
you.
You screamed. You were clinging so hard onto my arm, I was losing. My arm went numb.
I think that's the first time that ride has ever been scary. And it was terrifying.
It was pretty
Never again.
scary. We didn't know it was real or not real.
Yeah, no, never again. That was the first and the last time that we had that experience. It was a good one though. It was
It
fun.
was really good. It was really good. Not sure if I have PTSD or what from that, but
I
something
know. I
changed.
don't think we the next time we went back to Disney World, I don't think we wrote it again. I think that we were like just remembering that we had
Is it?
had that experience and we were like, that's good for now.
Yeah, it was plenty. It's so different though. Well, inside is just pretty similar, but it's so different from the one in California.
Yeah, no, the storyline's a little bit different. I feel like they dig in more towards like the bride and the architecture is completely different because in Disneyland it's a New Orleans square. So it really does look like a house that would be
Yeah, it
like
fits
in the
along.
bayou.
Yeah.
Mansion style,
Well,
obviously, but like they really did a good job fitting the theme
yeah.
of each
There's a lot of
land because
houses that
in
look just like that in New Orleans.
yeah, and in Florida it's like it's there is no New Orleans square. So,
No, it's really out of place.
yeah, but I do love the bride and I like that they incorporated her story in the queue and how there's like
Yeah,
her wedding ring in the queue. It's like a fun little hidden thing to find.
yeah, it is.
It's a good ride for hidden things. I like how they have hidden Mickeys all over. It makes it kind of fun to like
Well,
keep
we
an
have
eye out
one.
for things.
Do they do the hidden Mickey that we do in the
I don't
ballroom?
know. It's a good question. I would assume they do
We haven't
because
ridden
it's
that
like
one
an easy
enough.
one, but I've never like thought to pay attention to it in Disney World. I've only ever
Yeah.
looked for it in Disneyland.
I think we were in a different dimension when we were riding it there.
Yeah, there was no such thing as a hidden Mickey when we rode it in Disney World. It did not exist for us.
Yeah.
So then here's the question. Between Disney World and Disneyland, which park has the better haunted mansion?
That's a hard one. Between Florida and California, I would definitely go for California. Not because I've been there so many times and grew up there, but because we have something that Florida doesn't.
That's true. I feel like this is one of the only times that I can think of where Disneyland has something that Florida doesn't.
It's true.
And it's a very special something. And it's one of my favorite very special something. And
It
it
is. It's
relates very
obviously one of
nicely to
mine.
your jacket.
If
It's
you can't tell,
the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay.
it's definitely one of the best overlays you can see at the Disney parks.
Oh, it's so true. It's my favorite. And I love that they do it early enough for Halloween and then they just keep it up through the holidays because The Nightmare Before
Yeah.
Christmas,
It's fitting for the
it's
whole season.
it's a Halloween Christmas movie. So I love that
Yeah.
they do that for the overlay. And it really is. It's really something.
Still
I
talking
also
about
think The
that.
Nightmare Before Christmas is special because they build that gingerbread house in the ballroom.
Oh, that's probably my favorite part.
Well, it smells so good because it's like a real gingerbread house. I mean, I'm sure they pump
Yeah.
in like a scent too, but it
It's
is a
so
real
strong.
gingerbread
You
house.
smell
For
it. You
real.
smell it down the hall.
Yeah. It like permeates that whole space, that
Yeah,
gingerbread smell.
it does. It's really strong, and it's different every year.
The house, yeah.
Most,
No, they
yeah,
literally have like bakers that like design a new house every year. And it's
it's
huge,
incredible.
probably
There's
very
always a hidden
scale.
Mickey in there somewhere.
Yeah, there is always a hidden Mickey. I feel like some years it's easy to spot, and other years I go the entire season never knowing where it is because it's so difficult to find.
I also love the when Zero is flying down the hallway.
Oh,
floating
yeah,
in
in
the.
that big long hallway where
It's just a
normally there's, like, the candelabra.
candle. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's great. I love that
Just a
they
fun
put
trick.
Zero in, like, right when you get done with the stretching room, and then you go into the queue, and there's, like, those paintings on the side, and they have
Mm.
Zero kind of, like,
He
floating throughout the
follows you.
paintings. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's so cute.
yeah. The stretching room itself too. That they completely changed that.
Oh my gosh, they completely changed it. I actually think that, like, if you were going to bring a child, taking them during the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay is
Yeah,
probably a little bit less scary because the
yeah,
stretching room in the original one is kind of terrifying.
yeah, yeah. It's a little triggering for some people,
Yeah, they, like, trap you in
supposedly.
a windowless and doorless room. You go s
Yeah,
down essentially, and then there's a man that, like, hangs himself.
there's a hanging man.
But what do we think? I feel like we love the overlay because it's amazing, but it is
Yeah,
around from, like, August to, like, December. So,
it's a long time now.
a
Yeah,
good time of the
till the
year,
first week
it's
of
The Nightmare
January.
Before Christmas.
Yeah, if it's your first time going to Disneyland and you want to see the original stuff, just would recommend going in the late
Yeah.
spring sometime.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like if I had never seen the Haunted Mansion before and then I saw the Nightmare Before Christmas version, I don't think I would be upset about it because it still is like a spectacular ride.
yeah,
It is different from the original, but
it's
it's
really
really
good.
good.
Either way, it is one ride that we have to ride every single time that we go to Disneyland.
Yeah. I'm really excited too because Disneyland is redoing the queue and that concept
Yeah,
art looks really beautiful. It looks like it's really
yeah.
gonna
I'm
thematically fit
usually
in.
against change at Disneyland, but that actually looks like they're going to do something cool with, and
I
it's kind
know
of
we don't tend to
necessary.
like change. Change
No,
is not something that we enjoy. So it's
no, I
interesting
like
that
it.
this is one change that we're not mad about, which is shocking.
Yeah,
Shocking.
and I'm excited for they it finally gets its own gift shop, which should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah, no,
Instead of
before
being
they
mixed
had
with the
like that
pirates
weird stand at
or the
the
stand,
exit.
yeah,
And then there
that's
was
it
that
deserves so much more than that.
yeah, and then there was that like gift shop that was over more towards like pirates that always had like a section for like Haunted Mansion stuff, but I always felt like that was a stretch because
Yeah,
it's so far from where the Haunted Mansion was.
yeah, I think it deserves its own store.
All right, I feel like we have to discuss something very important. This is a less happy topic of Disney news.
Oh no, what did they do?
How do we feel about that absolute bullshit that is the Premier Pass?
Oh, I think Disney's trying to be a villain.
It really feels like a
Really?
villain move. Like, unless you pay me $400, you cannot skip the lines. Like, that's nuts.
I mean, we always ride at least 10 to 15 rides, 20 if on a good day, if that's our mission. But and we never have to wait more than 30 minutes. If you know what you're doing, it's the way it's set up with the lightning lanes already. That works perfectly with us.
I
So I don't
know. I
understand
really
why you
feel
want to pay full
like
$100.
it's so expensive. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think Universal does their skip the line pass so much better than Disney.
Yeah, they
And
do.
you still pay more for the Universal one. Like when we did Universal, when we've done both Universal parks now, and it's so expensive to go if you get the express pass, like it's expensive. But you
But
feel
it's
like
worth
you're
it.
getting your money's worth. This Premier Pass that Disney's doing, I don't feel
Not
like you're
nearly
getting
as
your
much as
money's
that.
worth.
Yeah.
And you can only do the ride once per day. So you're spending $400 to skip not very many lines because really only so many rides at Disneyland have the lightning lane.
On top of your $200 ticket, 200 plus dollar ticket,
It's so expensive now.
it's you might as well just go VIP with a group of 10 people.
Honestly, it's probably a better deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's like the craziest thing I think I've ever heard. When I saw that, I was blown away. Like, I'm pretty sure my mind was actually blown by that. It's
It really does
horrible.
blow my
And
mind.
like, think about like if you have like a family of like four or five,
Yeah.
that is so much money.
Yeah. For a family of four, that's plus your tickets. You're paying $1,200 just for the premier pass.
And then the tickets alone, I mean, if you're going on like a peak day, you're spending over $200 for a ticket.
Yeah. So at that point it's $2,000 for a family of four to go to Disneyland.
not including food and any merch that you buy. And the
That's
hotels
crazy.
around the Anaheim area are like wildly expensive.
I remember the first time when we went as kids at like I think I was 8 years old, at least at Disneyland. There were four, no, there was five of us, and I don't think we waited more than 45 minutes. But we rode a lot of rides, and it. I remember we had to save if we saved $500, and that was for all three of us kids to save together. Then we got to go to Disneyland, and that was more than enough to cover us for several days.
Yeah, that was back before they even had like the paper fast passes too.
I think it was.
And like
Yeah.
because I remember that like becoming a thing and having to
Not to
like
age
learn how
myself,
to
but that
use
was
the paper fast passes, which
yeah.
now I'm like, give me back them. They
I
were
love
so
those.
much
Those are great.
easier.
I
I
liked
did like
keeping them
that
too.
first iteration of the digital fast pass. It like came about like kind of right before the pandemic where
Mm.
you still could go and get the paper fast passes, but also if you had the app, you could do it on the app, but it was still free. And that I found
Oh yeah.
very useful. I loved that version because it didn't exclude people that couldn't figure out how to use the app. You could still go get the paper ones. But if you didn't want to walk across the park to get the paper
Yeah.
one, you had like an easier way to do it. It was still free. I loved that version. I was
I think
so upset.
that's when we were maxing out at around 20 rides a day.
Oh, yeah,
We got so much done.
we could easily, if it was like a slower day, like a less crowded day, we could ride everything in Disneyland without even breaking a sweat. We did not get there when the
Yeah.
park opened. We did not stay until it closed. Like we could just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do it anymore. I feel like you would have to go when the park opened. You would have to stay until park close and you would be running back and forth around the park.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Bunch of bullshit. That's what it
It
is.
really is a bunch of bullshit. And I feel so bad because Walt Disney would have hated this. He did not want Disney to be like elitist. He wanted it to be for like
No,
the
he wanted to
everyday
keep the tickets
family.
down. Yeah. They weren't raised for the longest time until after he died.
Yeah, because he was like super against it. And now, if you just look at how much parking has gone up in the past decade, it's wild.
It was insane. Yeah. I don't even know how much it is anymore. I don't
It comes with
it's
my
not worth
past, so
driving
I
and parking there.
I very purposefully don't think about it. But yeah,
That's the
no, I
only way I
can't
would do
be.
it, really. Yeah. You have to do it that way.
You
You
have to,
just have
but then
a
they get you because only the top tier passes include parking.
oh, I've never had anything less than that, so I wouldn't know.
Same, honestly, same.
Walt Disney did want to keep it to just open to everybody and not just the elite, wealthiest of people to come to Disneyland.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a family-friendly
Yeah,
activity
for
for all
everybody.
families.
Yep.
I'm really surprised at how that's changed, but I do get it because to some extent I understand because the popularity has gone up, and so if it was cheaper, you would max out capacity every day, and it would make it really frustrating. So
Yeah.
I do to some extent, I understand the price raises. What I don't understand is this $400 Premier Pass bullshit.
So maybe they're kind of a misunderstood villain. Maybe
Yeah,
they're trying
still
to do a good
definitely
thing for everybody.
yeah,
Keep the
villainous,
keep
but
the
maybe
numbers just low enough.
misunderstood. Like most Disney villains, to be completely
Yeah,
fair.
that's true. I think most Disney villains are misunderstood.
They are. I feel like Cruella had the right idea. She was walking around calling everyone idiots to their face, which is something that I aspire to do.
I do that all the time in my head.
I do it all the time in my head, but I would love to have her confidence to just walk up to someone and be like, "You are an
Yeah,
idiot," and then slam a door in their face. Like that takes some balls, and I salute her for
yeah.
doing it.
Maleficent. She got
Oh,
chipped. What?
she
She was the
really
only
did.
person in the entire kingdom that wasn't invited.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a christening, that everyone's invited. The other fairies are there. And
Yeah,
she even gives the king and queen an opportunity to apologize and be like, "Oh, we're so sorry. Your invitation was lost in the mail." But instead, the little blue fairy bitch is like, "You weren't wanted." I would be furious. I'd be furious.
yeah. They're lucky she didn't do something then and there.
Honestly, I feel like she held out a lot of restraint. She said, "Nothing bad's going to happen for 16 years." That I feel like is a mature response.
Yeah, it really was. She should have just taken it out on them. Or didn't do anything wrong.
I mean, that's true. Well, but that's the villainous part, you know?
Yeah,
Misunderstood, but still a villain. You gotta keep the villain. to an extent. I
Yeah.
think Jafar is a really good example of that actually, because is he creepy? Yes, 100%. If I
Yeah.
were Jasmine, would I want to get anywhere near his little bony body? No, thank you. I would not want to. So I totally understand where they're
Absolutely
coming
not.
from, but he wasn't doing a bad job of being the royal vizier. Agrabah looked like it was thriving. Were
Looked
there
all
a
right.
couple starving children? Yes. But
Maybe.
I mean, that marketplace, that is what I call small business booming. You know what I'm saying? It looked like a happy place. But all of a sudden, Aladdin, the liar, the criminal, he's
The
supposed to
street
be the
rat.
one that's going to take over.
He got the princess. I
After
do like
a
Aladdin.
severe misuse of the genie power, that's absurd.
I
I'd be
can't
pissed
believe
if
it.
I was Jafar too. I'd be like, what is this guy gonna do? He has no
After all I've done
experience.
for you, and then he gets turned into a genie
He was tricked. He
and
was tricked into becoming
stuck
a
in a
genie.
lamp and flicked into the desert.
Bad business. Speaking of bad
That poor
business,
man.
Ursula,
Oh,
that's some
don't
serious
even get me
bullshit right
started
there.
on that.
Listen, Ariel, she thought she was
She signed a
mature enough.
contract.
There that Listen, it's not Ursula's fault that Ariel didn't read the fine print. It's not Ursula's fault that Ariel wasn't responsible and had a lawyer look over any legal document before she signed it. And also, people are like, oh, well, but she wasn't 18, so it wasn't legal. She was about to go get married. If she can
She can
sign
sign a
that
marriage.
contract,
Yeah, why can't you do that?
so I feel like that was bad. Ariel made a bad business decision, and Ursula gets stabbed with a ship because of it.
Ursula literally warned her and told her this is what happens if you don't follow up to your
A
agreement.
catchy song, she told her what would happen.
Yep, she didn't sugarcoat it.
So basically, I feel like these villains are very frequently misunderstood. And I really feel like if Disney's looking for new movie ideas, they should look into this, but not this bullshit like Maleficent and Cruella, where they're like, oh, but actually the villains aren't bad. They're the good guys. There's someone else who's a villain. No, own their villainous behavior.
Yeah,
Own it.
I want to know their stories more.
I'm a little bit worried because they're doing that Mufasa movie,
Yeah,
but I feel like they're gonna do the same thing where they make Scar like not really the bad guy. He's
what's gonna
misunderstood.
happen?
It sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me, if I'm being completely honest. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit. What do we think about the new Agatha show? I feel like she was like like she
Oh,
was technically, well, I was gonna say she was the villain of WandaVision, but I feel like Wanda was the villain of WandaVision.
yeah, it turned out to be that way, didn't it?
But it seemed like Agatha was going to be the villain. So she's like very
Yeah,
misunderstood. Have we
I
been
think she
watching the
is.
show? How do we feel
I'm
about it?
starting. I've begun to really like her. I thought I would after WandaVision, but I really like her a lot.
We'll keep it spoiler free. We don't want to spoil it for anybody. It is still coming out.
What about that? Yeah,
But I do
I
really
always
love it.
do
I
hate
really
people that
loved
spoil
Agatha. I
things.
liked her in WandaVision. I thought Catherine did a really good job of playing into the quirky neighbor, but then doing like the flip into the bad guy. I thought she really pulled it off well.
Yeah, but was she the bad guy? If Wanda was the bad or the bad woman? If
Well,
Wanda
I
was the
think they
bad woman?
both kind of were. I feel like Agatha was Wanda's villain, but Wanda was the villain to everybody else. That's what I think.
Everybody, everybody else.
Everybody. We'll
Seems like
see.
it's not really going into anything about Wanda though. Like obviously it happened, but
I was gonna say it went in a little bit, but it's a spoiler, so I don't want to give it away.
yeah,
There,
um,
there's some
yeah.
connective tissue there,
Maybe
but I
we'll
don't want to
find
give
out
it
soon.
away.
I like how this series is different than any other Marvel feature, like out of the movies or the series. This has its
Yeah.
own vibe. It's kind
Well,
of
I
it's
think we
different, but
felt
it's
that way
connected.
about WandaVision too. Like when it was first coming
Yeah,
out, we were like, this is so different.
yeah. But then it tied into the Marvel universe at the end.
Yeah, and I think the same thing is happening where again I'm like this feels so different, and so now
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for the tie-in. I like it though. It's a little bit spookier, a little
yeah,
bit darker. It's drawing on that like creepiness that makes it feel more adult while still being a Disney themed project. It's kind of fun.
yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
yeah. I think it's subtly adult. There's some things you wouldn't notice if you're watching this as a kid, but I think there's a lot more going on than we are
Yeah.
led on to believe.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot going on, which I love. Good for them. I hope it does good things for the last few episodes.
And Catherine Hahn's performance is just,
Oh,
it's
she's
wonderful.
so
She plays
good.
Agatha perfectly.
I know. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to give anything away, but there was like a point in one of the episodes that came out where like you feel really sympathetic towards her and like she plays that so well, but then like the next minute she's back to being like a villain and that switch that she does is done so
Yeah,
well. I'm like, "Wow, good
yeah,
for you."
subtly.
Yeah.
Did you see her at Disneyland? The videos of her at Disneyland?
Yes, when she got her new ears,
Agatha ears.
that was so cute.
What did she say? The
Yeah, the bucket
bucket list
list.
moment that
That's
she
so
never knew she
cute.
needed or she had.
I think that's really sweet. Good for her. Good for her. I feel like before we wrap up this episode, we should tell the people a little bit something about us. What were your favorite animated movies growing up and why?
Oh, that's hard. I grew up with all of them. I always like the old movies. I'd say 1970s or earlier, but like the first few were they have a special place. I love Alice in Wonderland. Oh, Sleeping Beauty though. I think that's my favorite with Maleficent as my favorite villain. And
Oh.
the animation in that is amazing.
Oh yeah,
I
when they
love
did
that
like
the old school
the glass
animation. Yeah.
panes to do like the
That and it's
dimension. It's really pretty.
yeah, and Mary Blair involved with the coloring of that. I love her color style. It's yeah, it really stands out.
I feel like you've always been a Peter Pan guy
Um,
too.
I yeah, I love Peter Pan. There was something about that that it was that's another just fun one, but I always as a kid wanted to be Peter Pan
Well, yeah, he never grows
and
up.
never grow up. Move to Neverland and be able to fly. And I always had dreams of being able to fly because of that movie. And I love pirates too, so it's got the pirates in there and mermaids, and it's just a magical movie. It's just the epitome of Disney magic.
It really is a good Disney movie. Like just like
Yeah,
overall,
it's a
you
fun
get a little
ride.
bit of everything.
Yeah, and then there was just as a kid growing up in the '90s, I feel like we were blessed with the Renaissance or like the rebirth of Disney movies.
We
So
really
I
were.
remember going and seeing Aladdin in theater. I think that was the first Disney movie I saw in theater. And I was obsessed. I love the idea of treasure and a genie and the music. And I loved Robin Williams. He was, I mean, just one of those great actors that I had the fortune to grow up with and watch. So listening to him, and he brought something to that I don't think any other Disney movie had at that point.
No, I feel like there was like an edge to his humor where like looking back, I'm kind of surprised
Yeah.
that Disney let some of it in, but
Yeah.
I'm
A
so
lot of it
glad that
was
they did.
improv and it was just they were letting him just do his thing and then
Yeah.
design the genie around him and
Yeah.
his
Yeah,
his ability to
he was a special guy. I'm glad that I'm glad that he did the genie and that we have that on record because I don't think anyone else could have. I appreciate that in the live action Will Smith tried. I don't believe in the live action version. That really pissed me off. So,
you know
I'm glad that we had
no,
Robin
there's nothing
Williams.
like the original. And then there's Lion King. That was another one I saw in the theater. And yeah, that was another one that had great music. It was beautifully animated. They got Elton John with that one. So of course the music's great. But I love the story of learning that they sent the animators to Africa to actually observe these animals out in the wild, out in their natural habitat, to see how they interact with each other and just their daily lives to get that feel. And they really brought that to life in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like back then that happened a lot, and I feel like historically it did. Like for Bambi, they brought in animals into the studio to
Yeah,
observe like how they moved. And I feel like during the Renaissance, because there was a big lag in animation and then the Renaissance happened, which was
yeah,
fantastic. So glad that it worked out that way. But I feel like they kept doing that. They went to observe the animals in Lion King, but then also when they were doing Hunchback, they went to Paris to sit in front of the Notre Dame
yeah.
and see it. And so I feel like that was kind of the last little bit of that Disney magic where I feel like what's missing a lot of times in the current Disney animated films is like they go, like the directors go and they scout the locations and they get inspiration, but the animators aren't going to observe these things in person. They're
Yeah.
just looking at photos of the inspiration. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's the difference.
Yeah, they actually got to go there, and I was jealous of that. I was really just that when I learned that about that movie, it made me want to go to Africa and see this too. Like the fact that they got to go and have that experience, and
The
that
safari's
just
on our
seems
to-do
like
list. We'll
it's on
get
a
there
to-do list now.
eventually.
Yeah, and I think that movie I could probably blame for the reason why that's on my bucket list.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like growing up, I had 3 movies that I really loved. I feel like without a doubt, Beauty and the Beast will always be my number 1 just because I loved the storyline and I
Yeah, that
loved
was
the
good too.
music, and I felt like Belle was just like, at that time growing up, I was like, "That is a badass woman." She turns down the handsome airhead. I was like, "What a woman. She's doing it."
Yeah,
Like, what a dream. So
that was probably the first like princess that had like an opinion that
yeah,
was not just going for the prince, but
just she was a good person who liked to read.
yeah,
So I loved
she
Beauty
was
and the
true to
Beast. I think that
herself.
will always be my number 1. And then I also loved The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think I dressed up as Esmeralda like at least twice for Halloween, and I loved that. I think I liked the music. The music felt so different to me than other Disney movies. It was so much more like impactful, the score of it. And I also think the fact that I grew up Catholic, I kind of liked that they made the Catholic guy like the villain. I
Oh
thought that was
yeah,
bold that they
same.
were like religion, ooh, making me do bad things. I was like, oh
No,
wow.
honestly, probably the biggest villain of them all.
Yeah. So I think I loved that. And also I think Hunchback is criminally underrated in Disney parks. I There was like the last time we went to Disney
It
World
is.
and in Epcot we were watching that fireworks show and they had that scene in Hunchback and you looked at me and you were like, "Are you okay?" And had we just drunk around the world? Yes. But we were sitting in that restaurant and I was sobbing like a baby and you were like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "It's the Hunchback." But it's great
Yeah,
and they need to bring
I
it
remember
more
as a
back.
kid, Hunchback was there more often, and Pocahontas too.
I was just gonna say my third favorite movie was Pocahontas, and I remember like vividly the Pocahontas show at
Yeah,
Disneyland.
I remember that. That
It
was so
was
good.
best. I
It was
had
really
After we
good.
watched it, my mom collected the leaves because they blew out
Yeah.
leaves,
So,
and
yep.
we saved a bunch of the leaves
So
because
did
I
my
was like,
mom.
"That's amazing." But Pocahontas still to this day, immediate I don't care if I'm dead asleep. If the movie is playing, the last scene of the movie when like John Smith has been shot and like they put him out in the boat and she's like, "No, my place is here." And she's sitting there with her dad and he's like has his hand on her shoulder and she's all breathing and then the music starts going and she's like walking and then she's running along the trees like some sort of athletic like and her hair is perfect. I don't know how that works out, but her hair is perfect and she's running along the trees and
Good
she
hair.
gets to that like big old
They all
cliff
have good
and
hair.
the music is like really going and the leaves are blowing. If I am dead asleep and I hear that scene, I immediately wake up and I immediately am in tears, like immediately.
I
And all
think that's a whole nother conversation though. Disney movies that put us to tears.
It's a lot of them. I don't think we're very emotional people.
No. No, I feel nothing.
We
I
feel
feel nothing.
nothing until you play us a Disney movie or
Except for
we see a
Disney.
Disney show or we're at a Disney theme park and all of a sudden we are blubbering idiots.
It's the only thing that reminds me I'm human.
Great.
It's
It's
true.
true though. Yeah, no, but yeah, Pocahontas, I remember I had this like plastic turtle. It was like to house bath toys in, like its shell came off and you kept your bath toys in it. And so it was always next to my bathtub growing up. And I would,
Um,
before I would take a bath, I would make my mom go get like a wooden spoon and I would sit atop my turtle and I would row my turtle. And I was going down the river bend. I was
in your
on a
bathtub.
journey on my turtle with
Right.
my wooden spoon, canoeing in my bathtub, you know?
That was the Lion King toy that I had was one of my favorites. I had the the Pride Rock that opened up and had the lions, and they had the cage for Zazu, the little bone cage.
Where he sings his song about the coconuts.
Yeah,
A lovely
yeah.
bunch of coconuts.
Diddly dee. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I do remember that toy. I don't know what happened to it. It's one of those that just disappeared someday.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of those toys disappeared, which is too bad because they don't make the toys now
Yeah.
like they did back in the 90s. Those 90s
No, they
toys
don't.
were like,
No, I look every day.
yeah, they were great.
Yeah,
And anyone who still has them, they got to be worth so much money now. Those vintage toys, are you kidding me?
yeah. I want to buy one.
I don't think we have enough
I
money to
bought one
buy
I used to
one.
have. Well, someday.
I just also would love to point out that this drink is delicious. I've only had like half of it. And
Oh, I'm on my second one.
well, okay, go getter. I am not on my second one, but I also very irresponsibly did not have
You
anything
made
to
it
eat
for me. What are
today.
you talking about? Why didn't you
I
fill yours
didn't
up?
eat anything today. And I am like,
Oh,
I'm feeling it. Like it's hitting me.
forgot about that. I meant to make us some snacks
Oh, damn. Well,
next
next
time
time I'll make
on the
another
next
drink. You
episode
remember
of
the
Wicked and
snacks,
Wasted.
and we'll be doing better.
I wonder what
I
that's
do
gonna
feel like
be.
we have some ideas though for the next episode. Now we got to talk about Disney movies that make us
Yeah,
cry.
and and our toys from the Disney
All of
movies.
our toys.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got a lot. And then if any of you listening have any ideas for anything that need to be discussed, do let us know. We would like to talk about things that you want to
yeah.
hear.
Also the songs.
I do
Songs is a
feel like
whole
it would be
thing.
interesting to go through and rank all of the songs because I feel like we'd have a very similar opinion about what songs are best.
Yeah,
But I also
yeah,
feel like our opinion would be different than a vast majority of people's opinion.
yeah. Well, they have that list of the 50 top Disney songs,
Oh, that list
and
was bullshit. That
isn't a bunch of
list
bullshit, is
was
it?
bullshit.
I think in the beginning when I found out what it was, like number three is,
It's the
I'm not gonna say
Suits.
what it is. I don't want to piss people off that bad, but some people really like it, and I don't.
I don't. That was when I knew. I
But
said that was not made by a millennial. Like,
yeah, we'll piss people off the next time and have an opinion about those.
fine, fine.
Maybe after we get some people that
Before we
actually watch
scare
us.
everybody away.
Yeah,
That'll be the third episode then. We'll piss
yeah.
everyone off in the third episode.
Well, all right, folks, that wraps it up for our first episode of Wicked and Wasted.
Make sure to subscribe, rate, leave a review. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to know what
Please,
we should do.
please,
Tell your
or
friends to
don't.
listen to us. I
It's
promise
not
we're
like we really
entertaining.
care. But if you want to join us and have a conversation, unfiltered,
Definitely
then
unfiltered. I don't think
that's
we
what
know
we're
how
here
to be
for.
filtered.
No, because I feel like everybody else is. Most people, anyways. Also, let us know what Disney topics you want to have us bring up. Anything.
We know a
We need
lot.
suggestions. We know a lot, so let's talk about it. Until then, stay wicked.
And stay wasted. Cheers.